Good evening, welcome. We're gonna call this meeting to order. I want to thank everybody who's in attendance. And we'll go ahead and get started with our land acknowledgement, which will be read by Deja Reed, our student advisor.
We honor the first peoples of these lands by acknowledging that the area in which we gather is within the traditional territory of the Still tribe of Indians. The Still people have inhabited these lands and waters since time immemorial, and their ancestors have remained in this territory to this day. The Still people have continued to practice the traditional ways of their ancestors of fishing, hunting, and gathering. The Still tribe has had these lands and cultural traditions passed on to them by their ancestors who believe that everything has a spirit and that they are caretakers of these lands and waters.
Thank you, Deja. And then will you also lead us in our pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll have our roll call attendance. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Present.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Watts,
Here.
President Levesque,
Present.
Director Nat,
Here.
Student Advisor Nichols, Student Advisor Reed,
Here.
Superintendent Sweeting.
Here. Thank you. Next up, we'll have our approval of our regular meeting agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to change on our regular meeting agenda? Do we have a motion to approve it as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Director Watts and seconded by Director Kelly to approve our regular meeting agenda. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Watts,
Aye.
President Levesque,
Aye.
Director Nat.
Aye. Thank you. The agenda is approved as presented. Next up, we're going to have our board organization. This is something we do every year. We elect our board for a one-year term. We're going to go ahead and get started with the election of president. We're going to open the nominations for board president. Does anyone have anyone they would like to nominate for board president? You can even nominate yourself.
I nominate Mary Levesque for board president.
I have been nominated for board president. Is there any additional nominations for president? I'm required to ask a third and final time. Is there any additional nominations for board president? I will close nominations for the board president and call for a roll call vote. Madam Clerk.
The motion is
The motion is
Board elects
the board elects,
Director
doesn't say, okay,
Levesque
there you go.
as board president to serve a one-year term.
That is the motion. That was made by somebody.
So we can share. Do I have a second?
I second.
Let's vote.
And
Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Watts.
Yes.
President Levesque,
yes,
Director Nat.
Yes.
then I announce that Mary Levesque has been elected as president and will serve a one-year term. Seems silly. And then we get to next elect a board vice president. Do we have a nomination for vice president?
I liked Erica Knapp to be vice president.
Eric Knapp has been nominated for the office of vice president. Is there any additional nominees for vice president? And I'm required to ask a third time, is there any additional nominees for vice president? Hearing no other nominations, we are going to close nominations and call for a roll call vote. And the motion was made by Director Kelly to nominate Erica Knapp as vice president. Have a second.
I'll second.
Nicole Watts will second.
Okay.
And we'll take a vote.
Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Watts.
Yes.
President Levesque,
Yes.
Director Knapp.
Yes. And then I get to say, congratulations, Eric. Now you are, again, thank you, our vice president, and will serve a one-year term. And next, we get to open the nominees for legislative representative. Do we have a nomination?
I make a nomination to elect Sherry Kelly as legislative representative.
And are there any additional nominations for legislative representative? And a third time, is there anyone else that would like to nominate anyone for legislative representative? So we have Sherry Kelly has been nominated for the office of legislative representative, motion by Nicole Watts. Do we have a second? Second. It's been seconded by Director Knapp. Madam Clerk, can we take a roll call vote?
Sure. Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Watts,
Yes.
President Levesque,
Yes.
Director Knapp.
Yes. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, Director Kelly. You have been elected as a representative or legislative representative for another one-year term. Thank you for all your participation in organizing our board again. It's the same. And next, we get to have a very fun part of our meeting. We get to have a student presentation by the Kent Prairie Elementary Choir. And we have so many students, I don't think they're going to fit in here.
Yes, so I have the honor of introducing our choir. So you have a reference. They come 3 mornings a week on their own time at 8 a.m. and they rehearse. And tomorrow they have their first concert of the year. They perform throughout the year. And so they are in the hallway and they would like to perform a few numbers for you.
All right, so,
We're going to them.
so
Yeah.
do we need to recess the meeting to go out into the hall or it can continue?
It's on the agenda.
All right.
Into the hallway.
So the board's going to the hall. Isn't it? They're so cute.
Oh, wow. Yeah, just-
Kim Davis. And I just want to take a moment to just thank this is for what she still does in our community and for our school. She is absolutely amazing. Quick round of applause.
Oh, okay, okay.
Back to boring stuff. Oh, so good. Oh my gosh, I didn't know they're gonna make it. I know. That like. I mean, the whole picture. Lights. Airy. Colleen brought them. Right, the board is back in the room. That was incredible. Wow.
Yeah, I love the parent participation.
Those 40 students.
Did you count? More than me.
I mean, we'll split up.
More than 10.
Less than 50.
Greater than.
And now we're going to move on to the next portion of our regular meeting, which is our approval of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes. We've got our conference attendance minutes from November 21st and through 23rd, and then our study session and regular meeting minutes from November 25th. We have a motion to approve our conference meeting minutes from November 21st through 23rd.
I make a motion.
Second.
Yeah.
It's been moved by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Diamond to approve the conference meeting minutes from November 21st through 23rd. Madam Clerk, Director Diamond,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Watts,
Yay.
President Levesque. Yes. Director Down.
Aye.
Thank you. Anybody make a motion for our study session and regular meeting minutes from November 25th?
I
Any
make a,
changes? All right, go ahead.
no, you're okay. I make a motion to approve the study session, and regular minutes from November 25th.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Knapp to approve the regular meeting minutes and study session from November 25th. Madam Clerk, Director Diamond,
Yay.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Watts,
Yes.
President Levesque. Yes. Director Knapp. Yes. And those minutes are approved also. Thank you. That brings us to the next portion of our meeting, which is our public comments. Do we have anybody signed up to speak? Anybody in the audience? Hearing none, we'll move on to our consent agenda. There's quite a few things on our consent agenda. There's a wonderful donation to Cape Prairie Elementary and some really fun field trips for wrestling and flight and band and the ROTC, a regular contract. Do we have anything anybody would like to pull from the consent agenda for further review, or do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as.
A second.
It's been moved by Director Watson, seconded by Director Kelly to approve the consent agenda as presented. Director Diamond,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Watts.
Yay.
President Levesque. Aye. Director Knapp. Aye. And that brings us to our new business portion of our meeting. The first thing on our new business portion is our resolution 2414 capital levy to replace the Post Middle School. And I'd like to welcome tonight Brian Lewis, our Executive Director of Operations. And I just want to make a special note that this will be something we'll want our student advisor to weigh in on.
Good evening, directors. Could you bring up the slide deck, please? Just going to briefly review the slide deck that we looked at in the study session, just so that it gets included in the record. Okay, move slides with this. Wonderful. First item, elections calendar, December 13th, 2024. This Friday is the last day to adopt a resolution to have a question appear on the February 25 special election ballot. January 24th, 2025 is when the voting period begins for that election. Election day is on February 11th. There are two other opportunities available to us in the 2025 calendar year. That would be the April election. In order to have a question on that ballot, then the district would have to, excuse me, the directors would have to file a resolution by February 21st, before the validation date for the certification date for the February 11th election. The next opportunity is in November, the general election at that time, and for the question to appear on the ballot, directors would have to file a resolution by August 5th, 2025. In November, we presented a capital levy proposal to voters that if it had been authorized, it would have allowed begin the process for constructing 120,000 square foot replacement building for Post Middle School, demolish the existing building, really redevelop the site that Post sits on, approximately 15 acres, by building a new track, new baseball field, and traffic safety improvements around the site as well. The total cost of that would have been $106 million, with a contribution from the state of $25 million in the form of school construction assistance program funds. What was asked of the community was $81.15 million. That did not pass. We talked about multiple options for a new question to voters. Option number one would have been or is retaining the building in its original design, full demolition of the existing building, and full site redevelopment as had been proposed in November. Because we're adding a year of additional cost, then the ask would have been $85 million as opposed to $81 million. That represents the additional year of cost escalation associated with no changes. And that's what a site plan, a conceptual site plan would have looked like. Option two, keep the building at 120,000 square feet. Don't demolish the existing building at the time of construction of the new building, and only partially redevelop the site to allow for traffic flow based on the placement of the new building. This would be less costly, $100 million versus $106 million. Again, same level of funding from the state in terms of the school construction assistance program, $25 million, and the request of the community would be $75.1 million. This is an idea of what it would look like. You can see that the parking for the new Post Middle School would be far removed from the new school building. There would still be some traffic safety improvements there, but the parent or visitor in particular would be awkward in terms of navigation, as it would utilize existing paving at the site. Another representation of what it could look like. And option three, reduce the square footage of a new building to 102,000 square feet. As opposed to 120,000 square feet, but keep the demolition of the existing building and site redevelopment as had been originally proposed. This also results in a lower cost, $100 million versus $106 million. Still, the the school construction assistance program funding at $25 million and a requested community of $75.1 million. So there, we did talk about the spaces that would be lost by reducing the square footage of the building. That would be two classrooms, some shared instructional areas or pull-out spaces outside of the classrooms. The teacher planning spaces would also be reduced. We'd also eliminate the wrestling and exercise space, and even though it's got the remaining space has the label of weight room on it, it could still be a wrestling space, a mat room in the same way that they've got right now. So there would be a reduced amount of space available in the building. So a comparison of the different proposed cost proposals shows that the different ranges of costs associated with the different plans. The resolution that you've got available to you tonight envisions the option number 3, which encompasses or envisions a smaller building and the full site redevelopment and demolition of the existing building. So the total, the ask to the community would be $75 million. We would receive $25.3 million in school construction assistance program funding to offset the cost of the full construction cost, the full building. Excuse me, the reduced building. What would that look like in terms of cost to taxpayers in the district? For comparison's sake, what we were asking for in November, the full-size building would have cost about $65 a month on a $500,000 property for a total lifetime cost of $4,650. With the reduced size building, the cost is going to be for a lifetime cost for a 500K property is $3,900. Estimated monthly cost of $54. So any questions before I move on to the resolution? Okay, could you bring up the resolution, please? So section 1, it provides the factual basis of the rest of the language that's contained in the resolution. It describes the need for the project and the district, what it would take in terms of annual tax collections over a 6-year period to finance the cost, the district's responsibility for the construction of a new building. It talks about the legal authority that the district has to request the Snohomish County place the question before voters. And a simple statement that it's in the best interest of the district and the inhabitants of the district to move forward with construct or asking for the funding to construct a new building. Next page, please. Section 2 describes the cost, or excuse me, the actual project itself. A replacement for Post Middle School on or near its existing site. That includes a list of the kinds of classrooms that would be inside of the building and the improvements that are made outside of the building, including the track and field, which is called the outdoor physical education fields. And then other capital improvements is would provide or allow construction of the traffic safety improvements around the school building as well. It also allows for the cost of acquiring and installing furnishings, fixtures, and equipment in the building, and the incidental costs, which would be the cost like design, permitting, any kind of finance costs that the school would incur, or any kind of site acquisition. We don't have any of that. Demolition of the existing building and road improvements around the site as well. Section 3 describes what the passage of the resolution would result in a request to the auditor for Snohomish County for placing the question on the ballot and what the facts that would be included in that ballot title. There's a condensed version of this in another section, but this section includes the tax amounts that would be collected and an estimated levy rate of $1.30 per thousand. So it's important to know that the district, the board of directors is asking for the tax collection, not the rate. The rate is merely an estimate. What's important here is the amount that would be collected, and the rate that would flow from that is just an estimate.
So Brian, does that mean if more people move in to share the burden, that people's levy amounts could be a little lower?
Yes, the rate, well, not the levy amount, but the rate goes down.
So
The amount collected would stay the same.
The total would be the same, but
Yes.
each one of us would pay a little bit less.
Yes.
So there'd be more people sharing.
That's assuming an addition of taxable property. So for example, somebody subdivides a large holding into multiple smaller lots and builds houses on them. That would be an addition to an assessed valuation, not just a growth of assessed valuation, but more properties would be subject to tax. So any kind of building construction helps out with that. Go to section 6, please. So section 6 shows that how the question would be presented on the ballot. This is what it would actually look like. There's a lot of repetition in here, but that's just the redundancy is purposeful. It describes again the amount that would be collected per year. That's the meaningful part. I know the tax rate is also meaningful. That we can use that as a way to estimate an individual property's cost in terms of this tax. And it describes, the ballot describes what the purpose of collecting the tax would be for to build a new middle school, new post-middle school in place, the existing one. And then a simple yes or no question at the bottom. The rest of the sections describe the district's responsibility to submit an approved resolution to the county auditor. And gives a listing of people that would receive communications from the county following the submission of that ballot, the submission of the resolution. And then there's signature blocks and a certification. I wanted to go over the actual language of the ballot title so you could have that available as a reference for you when you're making the decision. And if you approve, when you're having discussions with community members about the different aspects of the proposal. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
The resolution is pretty much the same language that we've passed in the past language.
Yes, with the exception that the
The
tax
dollar amount.
amounts have been altered in the subsequent levy rate and dates as well.
Any questions? All right, this is an action item that we will be voting on, but first I would love to hear our student advisors' opinion. Would you vote yes for this resolution to put a capital levy on the ballot?
Yes, I will.
And do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we consider 2414 capital levy to replace post middle school.
It's been moved by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Knapp to approve resolution 2414 capital levy to construct a new post middle school as presented. Any discussion? Madam.
Sorry, I just wanted to say I appreciate all the work that it took to adjust this and the conversation that we had and all the information shared. Just,
Thank you.
I think it,
No options.
yeah.
So,
I'm very grateful for the community voices that we heard from the survey that helped guide us and direct us. Very helpful. Madam Clerk,
Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
yes.
Director Watts.
Yes.
President Levesque.
yes.
Director Knapp.
Yes. Thank you very much. That motion passes and the board has approved resolution 2414 capital levy to construct a new post middle school as presented. Thank you, Brian Lewis, for bringing that to us tonight. Look forward to February. Next up on the agenda is our workforce secondary traumatic stress report. And we will be hearing from Dave McKellar, our Director of Special Education.
Maybe it's appropriate to talk about secondary workforce trauma and stress when you make these kinds of decisions, but we're heading in good directions. Is that going to start?
Yeah.
No. Perfect.
Just right. Don't move.
Agreed.
Okay. This just happens to be one of what the posters that we have in every building, in every school and around the district for our staff and students to see. And we were just brainstorming the other day, Krista Kramer and I we think we need to move them. You know how things just blend in and
Mhm.
people stop seeing them. So we're thinking about what that would look like. But this is the workforce secondary trauma or traumatic stress report that we do annually. And so this is something that came out a couple years ago in the legislation to have this. I didn't realize it was the first of its kind legislation in the country that Governor Inslee had put together. Another term for this secondary workforce traumatic stress is compassion fatigue. And so it's just something that we're trying to understand. You know what compassion fatigue might be. Anyway, so we're going through annually, we have a meeting in December. It's very specific on the staff members in the district that have to be a part of the committee. And so we've met twice and we have our third annual meeting coming up in February. There are a lot of requirements. This is out of policy 5515. And there are a lot of requirements as far as the types of things that we're doing. And so oftentimes, and this is fallen something that Krista Kramer has taken on in terms of our district nurse and leading. And so, I mean, I have examples of lots of communication that goes out, emails, whenever she comes across data or information or sources where people can find help. She sends it out district-wide to staff just to keep them informed of what's out there and available should they be experiencing any type of stress, let alone secondary workforce traumatic stress. We've gone through, established the workforce. Of course, that's already happened. We share secondary resources, secondary traumatic resources. Our workforce mental health committee has shared links. And so if you see on the QR code here, you're able to, it'll take you right to our district webpage that has a Padlet that just has loads of resources. And it just gives you the opportunity to look and see what might be there if you need it. I think the one thing, the hurdle we've never quite figured out is people who are in distress often don't either know they're in distress, don't know how to find the resources for that distress. And so I think that's something that we might be considering in the future is just how do we, you can tell people as much as you want about everything that's out there, but they have to take a step too. And so that can be a challenge. And then we're just in our meeting, our agenda for the next meeting in February, which will be our annual meeting, as I said, we're going to just assess how our school level implementation of the policy and get input from staff again, just what's meaningful to them. So any questions? Yes.
Dave, do we track, I guess, how long have we had this available for our workforce and do we track, like, do we have metrics that help us to determine that this kind of program or the resources that are available to our staff are working?
Yeah, I don't know that we do. I don't know, Gary, on the website where we have our second, I mean, are you able to see like how many hits a website has had?
We could pull that data, yeah.
We're gonna pull data that
Okay.
helps us
Very
understand.
simple data.
I just think it's great. I
Yeah.
think we need a baseline, and myself as a teacher, I didn't realize I was in a stressful job
Yeah.
until my counselor said, yeah, it makes sense, you're stressed. So, just having that defined, but I think that'd be a good start for us. I mean, we do assessment of so much and our staff would be great to have that. Yeah, contracted a bit.
If you remember too, we put out this district staff, we haven't done it this year yet. But it asks such questions as, besides your years of education, I find satisfaction in the work that I do. I create a good work life versus personal life balance. I have workplace friendships that are meaningful to me. I access healthy outlets for my stress, like eating well, exercise. I mean, and then I know where to get help for my stress when I need to. And of course, we all know where to go when we're not feeling stressed so much. But again, we're back to that question. I know what district resources there are, and I know where to locate our district health related resources. Those two were actually the like 50-50 kind of answers, but and for 2 years running, we've run it 2 years. So it's just taking a pulse of what's out there, and we find that we have happy employees for the most part, and are engaged and have work friendships and are finding connections out there. So that's another just finger on the pulse, so to speak. But I think we could look at those numbers. That would be helpful. Yes.
So you said they're in every classroom? Is that where they're housed right now?
No, I think, well, I can't,
posters?
not for elementary, the posters would be in this like staff work areas for this. But I think it's secondary, they're out in the hallways, they're not necessarily in a classroom.
Could they be in the staff bathroom?
Well,
Are they? Should they be?
I don't recall seeing them in any
Because
bathrooms.
Usually
I was a girl.
It's a reflection time.
Put them on the doors of the,
When I was
Interior.
The stalls.
Like even on the, like exit, entering and exiting.
Yeah.
Because everybody has to.
Yeah.
well, yeah, a lot of people aren't gonna just stand there, kids especially, right, are gonna stand there and acknowledge, you know.
But as a girl
Yeah,
who sometimes feels distraught, I hide in the bathrooms to have my little cry. That would be a good place, I think,
okay,
for anyone else who
Noted.
might feel distraught and needs to hide in a bathroom.
we'll take a look.
Bathrooms are the best.
I will take a look at that in the girls' bathroom, but we'll.
We'll send
I know
someone-
it's common middle school
Chris over
here,
there,
I don't
yeah.
know if adults do that until. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up is our next item of new business, our Merle McGuire Mayo Scholarship, which is a fun mouthful and a very fun scholarship. I would like to welcome tonight Gina Zutenhorst, our Executive Director of Financial Services, and this is another student advisor vote. Gonna look to Deidre's.
So this is an annual agenda item, and it's time to make that decision on the numbers and amounts of scholarships that are gonna go to Dollars for Scholars from the Merle McGuire Mayo Scholarship Endowment Fund. And then just quick background, Mr. McGuire Mayo was a 1936 graduate of Arlington High School, and he passed away in 2013. And when he did, he left a large endowment, close to 2.5 million. And specified in his last will and testament that that was to be held in trust. Can't spend the principal, can spend the interest, and the interest earnings go towards scholarship to the Dollars for Scholars for an Arlington High School graduate. And the board gets to be involved in deciding the dollars and amounts each year based on what we've earned that's available in interest. So this year it's $67,000. And last board meeting, we were able to look through a number of options and different combinations of things. And so now's the time to take a look at that again, and a recommendation for the distribution of that 67,000 in this year. And the number and amounts is as follows. It's on there. It's easier probably to look at there as long as you can see it. But it was for 3 renewable recurring scholarships, 2,500 a year for 3 students over the course of 4 years. So that one's a really neat one because it's renewable for us, those students that are awarded. That comes to 30,000 of that, of the dollar amount. And then 14 one-time scholarships for 2,500 each for a total of 35,000. 2 one-time scholarships for 1,000 each. And then all of that all together was 19 scholarships in all that would be awarded for a grand total of 67,000, which is great to make the math work because it can take quite a bit of calculating, make sure you hit that mark. And then it was useful for the board's input, especially last meeting to talk about it. College costs are increasing, and so the value placed on having an impact in the dollar amount that's provided, but also still being able to affect as many scholarships towards students as possible with the funds. So with that, I'll leave it to you on what you want to do with that. So,
We'll start with our student advisor. Deidre Reed, how do you, would you say yes or no for this one?
Yes.
As a person who is probably looking at scholarship opportunities, that would be really good. Do we have a motion to approve the Mayo Trust Investment Earnings?
I make a motion to approve the Mayo Scholarship Investment. A second.
It's been moved by Director Watson, seconded by Director Kelly to approve the Mayo Trust Investment Earnings of $67,000 for scholarships to be administered by Arlington Dollars for Scholars in the recommended number and amounts presented. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Watts.
Aye.
President Levesque.
Yes.
Director Now.
Yes. Thank you. That motion is approved and those scholarship amounts are determined. Thank you. Next up, we get to have some first readings of a few different policies. I'd like to welcome up first Dave McKellar again. Thank you for joining us. Our Director of Special Education for 3424 opioid related overdose reverse.
Good evening again, directors. So this first reading is just mostly, there's just some changes that are recommended from WASDA. Adding a little bit new language, but in large part, what this is covering again is Narcan in all schools, not just high schools or secondary schools, and we're kind of ahead of the curve. We've already taken care of this for our district, and all of our secondary buildings have Narcan in the AED device boxes, and as well as nurses' offices. And then for elementary, the dosage is, or the doses are kept in the nurse's office as well. It also talks about in the policy that students can hang on to this stuff themselves if they, for whatever reason, believe they need to be carrying it, whether for themselves or others, and that they have the legal right to hold Narcan, and it won't be something that we would ever hold against them or administer discipline of any sort.
One question. But Matt has a question first. My question was, do we already have Narcan on buses?
On buses, great question.
No, we do not.
No, we do not.
We provide bus drivers with Narcan. They're free to carry it with them. We're not requiring them to carry it with them and not requiring them to keep it on the bus.
Thank you, Brian.
So you say students can carry on without repercussions, can staff carry it on them without repercussions as well?
It doesn't call that out in the policy, but I don't know, Eric, HR, would we have a problem with staff carrying it around on their own? I doubt it because
Okay,
any,
yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
figured.
any
it was just
person,
a-
yeah, it can be administered. It talks
personnel.
about,
It says students or personnel.
yeah, it
Okay.
talks about people having the
Okay.
ability to carry it around. I think it's just the prevalence of and the need for,
Yeah.
it's, you know, the emergency nature of what it's trying to counteract. I don't know why we wouldn't, you know.
Yeah, any person, including students, to lawfully possess authority, okay.
Yeah. Good question. Any other?
And I don't think we would force staff to carry it.
No, but I mean-
But yeah, just like the
Yeah.
buses, that just made me think of that.
To carry it on.
Yeah,
Their student advisor have an opinion about Narcan? Has it ever been something you're worried about?
No, I've never really been in like really like crazy contact with drugs. Like I know that there are kids in my school that like there are definitely kids in my school like smoke weed and stuff, but I've never really known anyone that does like crazy drugs that require Narcan. So I've actually only ever like I didn't know about like it being this serious until this school year during district day. I was with my mom, and so we overheard someone talking about the Narcan being in the first aid box in the BPAC by the windows, and I was like, really? Like that was just kind of shocking to me because I didn't realize that it was like actually that big of an issue that we really needed to be having it in our schools.
The incidences have increased dramatically. Fentanyl is pretty scary stuff.
Prescriptions. Fentanyl,
Yeah.
The most common person that overdoses is actually the elderly who are taking them on prescriptions.
Any other questions for Dave about this policy? All right, thank you. We'll look forward to seeing that come back for a second reading. Next up is 5005, employment and volunteers disclosure, certification requirements, assurances, and approval. That a long enough title?
It's a long one for sure. Good evening, directors. Yeah, this is a some pretty minor adjustments to this policy. There's a definition that's probably the biggest change on this one, which is pretty obvious, but so some pretty minor changes overall in this policy, you know, covering our volunteers and our staff, what kind of things we have to do to make sure people are okay to work for us. Background checks, those kind of things, so. Pretty minor changes overall.
Any questions or changes anyone would like to make? All right, thank you, Eric.
Yep, I have the next one also.
Would you please go over 6530 insurance? Look at that small title.
Insurance, yeah, this is another, yeah, so it's long, short, that's good. This one also has some pretty minor changes. The biggest part is in the medical insurance, some staff insurance, and it's pretty,
That one sentence, the first one that has red in it, I
yeah,
thought it looked a little clunky. The district may make available medical, dental, vision, liability, life, accident, disability, and salary protection or insurance direct agreements as defined, blah, 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 or any one of combination of, it's just so long.
yes, it is a very long thing.
Is
I
it,
think we'll
does it
also
have
for
to be
that.
that long?
Probably not. We could break it up and change it, but this is the
Alright.
Boston recommendation. I don't know if it would change the substance of it. It
Doesn't
would
have to
definitely
just-
change the
No one's gonna read
grammar.
it, Mary.
Nobody's gonna read it, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry,
I'm just saying, does it get the point? Does it accomplish?
that's fine.
I think it does get where we need it to probably. Yeah. Again, a
Sure.
couple minor changes here in workers' comp. One minor change, I guess. Yeah, there may be one more down here lower. There's, yeah, there we go. So again, just rewording that one, and then the medical insurance is talking about SEB and the healthcare authority. And so basically, we're gonna, follow what we need to do as far as state law and the healthcare authority goes in regards to offering employees insurance. So it's some pretty minor changes overall, and just trying to stay current with the language and the laws as needed.
Any questions, changes? All right, thank you, Eric. Next up is Brian Lewis, our 6690 contracting for transportation services and 6959 acceptance of completed project.
So, I want to talk briefly about contracting for transportation services of policy 6690. And this policy is most applicable if a school district were to contract out the bulk of their transportation services to a private contractor, which does happen.
Like Seattle,
Like what?
don't they do something different?
Seattle, Everett. I did a study of this one time for another district, and there were 33 districts across the state that contracted out the operation of their system. That doesn't mean that we don't contract out, but we don't contract out wholesale in the same way that this policy envisions. We contract out for sometimes McKinney-Vento, sometimes special education students that need to travel outside of the district. But that is by no means what's considered in this policy as far as applicability. So what this policy requires is that if we were to contract out our transportation system, then we would have to ensure that the contractor is providing the same level of benefits that we would provide as to the rest of our employees. That's the primary purpose of this policy. I don't envision that happening in the near future. One of the results of the study that we did was that on average, the contracting districts paid more than districts that operated their own system.
Interesting. Thank you. Any changes for this one? All right. 6959.
So this policy is regarding accepting completed projects. This is going to change our practice, and that you're going to see in the near future our first acceptance. And believe it or not, it's for the high school addition project. We're still working on closing out, even though it's been 3 years. And I got to say that it's not uncommon for the closeout period to extend that long. We're working on resolving deficiencies that were identified with the project. And just to give you an example of a deficiency, there's lighting inside the classrooms it's dims automatically depending on the ambient light present in the room. And some of those dimmers are not functioning properly. That's an example of one of the issues that we've been trying to get resolved through the contractor. They still have an amount outstanding that's due to them. It's small in comparison to the entire contract, but that's something that we're not going to release until we get all these problems resolved. It's the architect issues a certificate of completion, and that compels us, primarily the finance department, to start checking with the taxing authorities at the state level, labor and industries, Department of Revenue. Sorry, the third one was escaping me, just to make sure that the contractor is current with their tax payments. If they're not current, then they have to get current and before we'll release the final payment. And then we also check to make sure that there's no outstanding liens that would result in the district having to pay additional funds for the liens that the contractor actually owes. So we do that already, just haven't brought it to the point where we're presenting it to you, recommending acceptance. That's going to be changing in conjunction with this policy.
Does that mean that you'll be bringing the addition at the high school for us to accept as complete
Yes,
when it's complete?
I believe it's functionally complete now. I'm waiting on another document from the architect to schedule it for board. So likely January.
Fine. Okay. Any questions or changes anyone would like to make?
No.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
And that wraps up our new business portion of our meeting. And that brings us to our informational item. Dr. Sweeting. You have a
Yes.
superintendent report?
Yes, I do. So first of all, I'd like to wish Sherry Kelly a happy birthday. She had her birthday on Friday, so hope it was great in every way. And also to remind people that there's 3 days of Home Alone fun, music, performances. I think it's actually Wednesday, Thursday, and Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So, and there's like 2 performances on Saturday, one at 3 and one at 7. So please check that out. And this last Saturday there's so much going on in the community. I happened to be helping with the Arlington Education Foundation Santa breakfast, and it was great because the foundation supports the mini grants that are given to our staff. And this Saturday we had like 2 sessions of breakfast. People that came for breakfast, we had 180 for the first session and almost that much for the second session. It was so much fun. So that was great. And the last thing is that I wish everybody happy holidays. The winter break is coming and it's actually December 23rd through January 5th. That's all I have.
Thank you. And next up is our legislative update and discussion. Dr. Kelly, anything to share?
I don't have anything to share. It's kind of quiet all around in that regard as we wait for the new session to begin in January. Looking forward to convening with other board members, lead reps in January. It'll be, I don't even know when we do our legislative session, and probably the 3rd week of January, something similar, probably on the federal level. So they'll install those new folks, but we will not be doing Day on the Hill, which again reminds us that we advocate all year round. So just, I would say I appreciate all of you for making the time. I know there's sacrifices in that, monetarily and time-wise, to be available at our schools and then show our representatives that our kids matter and why they should care about kids. So I will look forward to giving an update after I attend that session in January. That's all.
Next up, we have our comments from board members. Good time to tell us about how everything's going and any thoughts or ideas that you have, Deja?
I don't really know. There's not much happening right now. I'm really excited for winter break. We're going to my grandma's house for Christmas, so I'm pretty excited about that. My aunt and my uncle live over there too, so it's pretty exciting. They all live in like the Spokane area. My birthday's in like almost less than a month, but I'm really excited. Because none of my friends won't be able to be like, oh, well, you're 15, because I won't be 15. I'm also really excited to get my license. Because shortly after my birthday, track season starts. And I would like to be able to drive myself from practice when I want to leave. I'm actually really excited to get my license. I love driving, but that's about it. There's like not much happening. Other than that, finals are the week of my birthday, I think. They're like like the week of the 20th or something like that. They're around that time. I don't really know. All my classes have like deadlines for the end of the quarter, but then they're all like within 3 weeks of each other, so it's all kind of up in the air. But that's about it.
Gonna be a busy month.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Director Knapp, anything you'd like to share with us?
I'm gonna go see Home Alone on Saturday, so really looking forward to winter break. So I hope everybody has a great break. Be nice to have a few weeks we'll be busy doing other things. And then as far as like the elections go, congratulations to Mary and Sherry. And I really do appreciate each board member and student advisors. I feel like we're a really good team, so thank you for having faith in me to represent as the vice president for one more year. Thank you for your service.
Director Diamond, anything you'd like to share?
Arlington City Council meeting next Monday at 6 p.m. A couple of us are going to talk about the resolution. That's it.
Thank you.
And what time is that?
6 p.m.
It is.
But we got 2 going already, so we're gonna try.
Maybe I could,
We're trying to
or
spread it
maybe
out so we
could
don't have to
support you?
announce it on the old websites.
Okay.
So
okay,
we're trying to coordinate so we can all do it with just 2 of us and like do information sessions. We got talking points, everything like that. So
Trying to avoid having a forum.
yes,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Director Kelly, anything else to add?
I would just ask, yes, please, if we can stay connected on what that looks like for participation, I'm available to do that, but
We'll coordinate with Dr. Sweeting.
that'd be great.
Get
Yeah,
some
Totally
signups
wanna-
going on.
get out there and people who withstood the rain this weekend, kudos to you and your support of our little community. It becomes, I think things seem to be getting a little bit more popular and bigger. That says something about our town. So I think our town can rally behind this as well. So I'm looking forward to supporting it. But yes, amen to a much needed break. So looking forward to it. Hope you all have whatever fun or rest you need to be rejuvenated with your.
Director Watts.
I too am looking forward to Home Alone. I will be at every show. My son will be the beatboxing master during Mary, Did You Know? The AEF breakfast was so much fun, seeing all those kids just so excited about Santa. I have a boy turning 16 tomorrow, so that's exciting. And then Christmas can officially begin at the Watts house. And then one of the things I'm most proud about with my oldest son, Colin, I shared with Sherry when I ran into her in town, is he got a 97% on his LSAT. So yay for those Arlington alums. And the Narcan thing, I'm a big advocate of. I think it's great that we're carrying it because it's not just those that do hard drugs. It could be your grandma. It could be someone took some oxycodone because they had surgery. And the compassion fatigue is really excellent too. It's something I strongly believe in and taking part of in healthcare. And I think it expands all workforces, no matter where you are, especially after the last several years. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. I wanted to share that I was able to go to Student Voices at President's on Friday and hear from the sweetest little 3rd graders that were very brave and very chatty. And it's really good to hear their thoughts and ideas, and swings came up and nachos came up again. It was always fun and always great to hear from our students. Looking forward to the next time we visit schools. It's my favorite thing to do. And I want to remind everybody about our next upcoming meeting. It's not until next year, Monday, January 13th in the boardroom at 6 p.m. So we have a whole month off from this fun. So I thank everybody for coming and sharing all of their thoughts and ideas. It's so great to be on this board with you. We have I second. It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Watts to adjourn the meeting. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond.
Yes.
Director Kelly.
Yay.
Director Watts.
Yay.
President Levin.
Yes.
Director Moore.
Yes. The meeting is adjourned. Drive safe.